Hey, how are you? My name is Igmar, and I'm just want to do a resume of the book I read, of the chapter of the book I read. It's the name of the book is The Body Keeps the Score, and I read chapter seven. I read it with my best friend. Her name is Nikia, and I want to give my thoughts on that chapter. First of all, it started with the impressive history of childs that suffered trauma. They did a study where they collected kids that live under very terrifying circumstances. One of the kids saw her mother being sexually assaulted, violated, and then cut it into pieces by a man. Another boy was beaten repeatedly and tied to a chair. Her mom tied him and beaten him hard. So they took those kids and they did a study with two groups: kids who were traumatized and kids that were not traumatized. Kids that will have a normal treatment with father, family. Were not. Maybe some of them were in the hospital for facing some disease or something, but what they did, they took some pictures from some magazines and showed to the kids, so the kids should made a story out of it. Okay, they would just say what they were saying. So the responses were heartbreaking. And the traumatized kids would see a scene of a father fixing a car. The father would go beneath the car, and two kids looking at the father. So when they saw this picture, the traumatized kids would made up histories like, "I would just kick this. I just would made a way to make this car crush uh, crush this man and see all the blood over the floor." They would realize that when they showed a picture of a woman pregnant, the traumatized kids would say that she was left behind, she was violated, and she would not have a good end. She probably would be a single mother forever. Whereas the normal kid, let's say it this way, would look at those pictures and say, "Oh, the father is fixing the car. Maybe the car will be fixed and they go to McDonald's to eat something good and enjoy the rest of the afternoon." They look at the pregnant woman and say, "Oof, this woman is pregnant. Maybe she was abandoned, but she soon would find a good man and find love. So they're gonna have a great life." Just to be clear, I am the group of the traumatized kids, but I'm not. I have not so huge and big traumas. But anyways, I know where I fit in. So what this chapter says, it's that if you don't have a correct attunement, as this kid didn't have, for instance, they suffer a trauma, a big trauma, and they had no one to run to, no one to ask for help, no one gave comfort, no one said, "Okay, this was happened, but this will not happen anymore, and I will protect you, I will hold you in my hand, and nothing like this gonna happen to you again." So if you don't have this kind of healthy attunement, you don't develop a good map mind that is resilient, and it's coherent and resilient. That's the word, coherent and resilient. So you will always keep making up the worst of whatever would happen that might resemble you the trauma unconsciously. So for instance, those kids, they do not have someone that would take away the pain or make or stop the suffering, you know. So the normal thing for them is to let the crazy go out, or continue. Do not expect good things coming from what is happening, because there's no hope, right? So that was what they developed, this kind of map that developed. uh, this is very sad. That's why some kids develop some kind of behavior that end up destructing their path during life when someone or something bad happens. Like for instance, if they got a bad result, or in a test exam, or someone just makes them suffer, they will not find a good place, a safety in in their internal map. They will not find it. So they will start to hope for the worst to keep going. Whereas if you have a good attunement with your father, someone that is connected with you and listens to you and love you and give you this love and validation. Yes. How can I exemplify this? For instance, if you're hurt and you run for help for your dad or your mom, so they see your injury, they clean it up. Maybe some of the fathers will give a kiss. They will give you a good treatment, like caressing you, you know. So you saw that out of the pain, someone stopped that. Someone You got someone to take care of you. Whereas if you saw your heart for your father and he looks at this, that's nothing, just, and even it's very hard, very, you need some stitches, and he doesn't care, you just don't feel safe. You just don't feel hurt. You just don't feel hurt. So that 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 was what happened to those kids. This is one of the hard parts of this chapter, and he presents a lot of arguments to support this. Presents a lot of arguments to support this hypothesis. He goes back to studies that he did with family, with the attunement with the mother and the kids, to show up how the infants start to create this inner map since the womb, since where they are in the mother's womb. So this is a connection very profound. If the mother doesn't get a healthy attunement, the kid is eager to develop this worse or bad map, internal map. So maybe this is, I don't, well, this is so huge and important. I believe in that. But we said we have to conclude that, like, is everything lost? So they form their map. So is that forever? They will not change? Of course, they can change. And you can create new connections. You can create new healthy attunement once you know that the attunement with your father or your caregiver was not healthy. There is, I mean, it's something that happens between humans, so needs to be done between human. So the most important thing is that you have to get this kind of attunement with a good and healthy person that would be respond to you, be responsive, that will know what you're suffering and will help you to stop the suffering and will protect you. And then you will create this basis of resilience and tenacity. And this will create a base for you to develop the other healthy, important steps in your life. I know this is so sad, so strong, Mm, and yes, this is the core of the chapter 7. He presents the problem, the solution, which is get new attachments, get to change your the set connections that were made on your brain because of trauma. When and you can get a lot of treatments. You start with yoga; it's very important. Acting, but for this case, attunement, a connection with good people, with people. There are people who love you. There are people who care about you. You just need to go for it. Find them. Most important, you first need to know that you're worthy, because to know that you love yourself was a little bit hard at this stage, but knows you're worthy, and then self-love will come up with the connections you made from that. That's it.